you can't, ruin all of the momentum that you built up with that Blue Jay between the deadline and that Blue Jays series. One Royal Way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, review on all platforms. Hit those notification bells, both on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, when our episodes go live. Appreciate everybody listening to this show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network and on One Royal Way. I'm going to try and make this episode quick. The first two games of the series against the Red Sox have not gone well. You lose 5-8 on Monday, and then you lose 6-2 on Tuesday night. I'm recording about 20 minutes after that game ended. You got one more game tomorrow, night game. Chance to salvage the series before an off day and head to Minnesota. And this was a series where you got to see the debut of two of the pitchers that the Royals traded for at the deadline. Bailey Falter on Monday, Ryan Berger on Tuesday. We'll start with the game on Monday, and Bailey Falter's debut could have gone worse, but it certainly wasn't very good. Gives up 5 in the first inning, loads the bases right off the rip. It was a single, 2 back-to-back singles and a walk, and then Rob Refsnyder, who's a lefty killer, gets a hit, scores 2, and then he gets a couple outs, gets Story and Rafaela, and then I think it was 2 strikes on Jarren Duran. Leaves a slider up, and he hits his 5-0 just like that. There wasn't a lot to go off of. I mean, his command was not great. Felt like he really didn't have a good feel for any of his breaking pitches. He got some swings later on his slider, but really couldn't throw the fastball by anybody. That was my biggest takeaway from this, from Falter's perspective, was they need to figure out something with his pitch mix and the way that he deploys it, lefty, righty, doesn't matter, to try and maximize swing and miss, because there's just not much there. On 23 swings against his slider that he threw 39 times, only got 5 whiffs on his fastball, which metrically is pretty good, for, the type of guy that he is. It was 20 inches of induced vertical break and spinning it around, 2,200. That'll stay at the top of the zone with the extension. It makes the perceived velocity tick up a little bit, but just wasn't able to get it by anybody. 10 swings, 1 whiff on fastballs, and nothing really in the zone. And that to me was an indicator that something just wasn't right. Now, let me preface all of that by saying I'm not concerned about Bailey Falter. Like, it was a bad outing against a red hot team, first outing for a team, maybe a little jittery, maybe just a little different environment than pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are not good. And now you're playing for a team that's right in the thick of trying to get in the wild card race against a red hot team on the road, and it just snowballed on him. Still got through 4, but gave up 7, walked 2, struck out 2, and that was it. It was not a good outing. 700 runs, 8 hits. Now we'll see what they're able to do. Now that they kind of have a baseline of, okay, this is what happened this time. Now let's work on this and see, what we can do next. How can we build on this? And like I've talked before, I trust Brian Sweeney and Zach Bove to get it figured out. Mitch Stetter as well, he was part of this, to maximize what Bailey Falter can be. And we'll see what he does next time out, because we're going to see him again in 5 days, and I'm curious how it looks. Certainly, you're going to be playing. I think his turn will come up again against Washington. It'll be either Washington or the Sunday game against. It'll be Sunday against the Twins. My apologies. I had my days off, but he pitched on Monday, so Sunday will be the next time. That's a lineup that is missing a lot of guys, and that team is not the same. So maybe it's a little bit of a comfier spot, pitching in Target Field. We'll have to see. Offensively, they had a hard time against Bayo in spots. They got a couple of runs, or they got 1 run early, in the 4th after a Yaz double. Adam Frazier to sack fly at 6-1. Durant made a great play on Isbell lining out. But it's 6-1, 7-1. And you're just like, oh, it's just not their night, and you kind of start to think about, okay, what's next? How are they going to be able to handle this? Just don't get it blown out too bad. But it was 8-1 by the time the eighth inning rolled around. But that's when they got things going a little bit. Vinny homers, Michael homers, Yaz doubles, Frazier single. It's 8-4 like that. Nick Lofton doubles. It's 8-5. And then after a walk, you got, 2 on with, with the 2 outs in the inning. It's like, okay, by middle of the order coming up, things start getting a little hairy here for the Red Sox. Bobby slices, hits the ball out to right center. That he hit it hard, but that right field is so shallow and like weird because of what the pesky pole combined with the bullpen. Like it's an odd field, obviously. But he hits it out to right. Abreu's got a good arm. And Nick Lofton just blew through the stop sign. Now, it was not super demonstrative by Vance Wilson for him to be like, hey, hold. But like it was not, hey, hold up, don't go. I know that if you're an audio listener, just understand I'm waving my hands like you see at third base coach. It was like one of those, just he's holding his arm up like, hey, stop. And Lofton didn't see it and just goes. And I know that often it's, been a talking point for fans and stuff about Vance Wilson as a third base coach. That I don't blame him in this instance. This is a situation where the player just made an absolute gaffe. And now to his credit, Nick Lofton was very accountable after the game and was like, I screwed that up big time. And I know I did. I blew through the sign. I was trying to make a play. And, that killed the rally. If you got bases loaded there with 2 outs and Vinny coming up against a righty, who knows, he jumps a fastball and it's a 2-run game just like that, or a 1-run game, even with Bobby on second, or with, I think it would be India on second. But that ultimately ended the game right there. I mean, and it's just one more in a line of base running mistakes that have plagued this team all season. It's been one of the negative qualities of this team is they make a lot of outs on the bases. And some of this is part and parcel with aggressive base running teams and trying to force the issue. Like there's a fine line between aggressive and stupid, right? As we know, when you're running the bases, trying to take an extra base, stealing in certain situations, trying to score on a shallow ball and right, trying to force a throw, things like that. There's a time and place to be aggressive in those spots. And there's also a time to you got to read the situation and know, let's just go station to station here. We don't need to force this. We got the middle of the order coming up here with 2 outs, and let's see if we can make something happen against their bullpen. We've gotten the rally going. Let's keep it going. And it killed the rally. And that was it. A frustrating game, certainly, from that perspective, when you felt like they had kind of gotten back into it. But ultimately it didn't end up mattering. Chapman shuts it down. And that was it. And what's frustrating about this one too, is that obviously Falter, it didn't help matters, but then you have Garrett Crochet on the other side on Tuesday. So like you felt like if you were going to have to win a game in the series, they had to try and get the first one before you kind of know what you're going to get with Crochet and then, have a chance to win the series. And now you're in a situation where you have to salvage it. We'll talk about the game tonight and all that went on there against Garrett Crochet and others right after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, nothing beats hanging out with the boys on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And the simplest way that you all can get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It is crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part is, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and then use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Sure to hit the like button and subscribe button. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate everybody that, audio, video, whatever. We jumped like 30-something subscribers on YouTube during that trade deadline on Thursday. I know we were around 840, 850. I noticed we're up around 880 now, pretty close to it. So let's see if we can get to 900 here by the end of August, and then we're on a push to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season, which is pretty incredible considering we were around 500, 400, 500 this time last year. Not even to 500 this time last year. Royals lose tonight on Tuesday, 6-2. It was Ryan Bergert's debut for the Royals, and I liked what I saw. The stat line it's not real sexy. I understand that. 5 2/3. He gives up 2 runs. One of those was late in the game after he had already left. It was an inherited runner that scored. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, no home runs, gave up 1 ball off the monster. But for the most part, I liked what I saw. He's got really clean mechanics, a solid arm motion. And I'm like, okay, that's repeatable, looks good. Not even from like an aesthetics perspective, but just you can tell the guy knows how to pitch and feels confident with what he's doing when his mechanics are that fluid. The fastball was really good tonight for him, at least metrically. I loved what I saw there. It averaged around 2350 RPMs, which is just a nice way of saying when he spins the ball well, and then 19 inches of induced vertical break, which, again, like the Royals have done a good job identifying good fastballs with these trades they made for Falter and Bergert, and Kolek has a good mix of sinker, slider, cutter. The slider and the sweeper were good for him. Royals Review tweeted it out that his sweeper had 4 extra inches of break and the sink had 2 extra inches of sink compared to season average. Whether that's coincidence or that's something that Sweeney and Bove tweaked, that's something that's could be a devastating pitch for him. Didn't get a ton. He got 8 whiffs on 85 pitches. The call strike whip percentage was 32%. That's fine. He got a bunch of called strikes in the zone, which was good. He was able to, he felt like, get in the strike zone with regularity. A couple walks, one of those late in the game, that kind of turned things a little bit, in this instance. And that's where I think the game turned a little bit. We'll go to the offensive side here in just a bit. But in that 6th inning, he gets 2 outs quickly, gets Hamilton and Jared Duran, and then he walks Alex Bregman with 2 outs. I understand being careful with Bregman. He's a great player, but with 2 outs, I didn't like to see a walk there. And ultimately, with that being the 3rd time through the order, middle of the order coming up, that's usually a time we see the hook, especially with young pitchers. This season, they've done that with Noah Cameron. They're doing it with Bergert here. And there's a few different angles here. People have their preconceived notion bias about Q and about Angel Zerpa. So people already had the decision in their mind that it was a bad move, and everybody's a moron in the clubhouse for making that decision, whatever. The process behind making that decision is Wilyer Abreu is a very heavy platoon hitter. Slashes 255, 321, 510 slug against righties. Against lefties, it's 220, 304, 340. So you see the OPS come down almost 200 points, and the slug is down nearly 200 total, and OBP is down or slug's down about 150, and the OBP is down about 20 or 15 to 20. So the way that I look at this, the process of it was fine. Like, you're going to go to a lefty in that situation. Like, I understand the move. It was the right process, given third time through, you got a guy that with a runner on 2 outs in a tie game, close game. Like, I would rather them get Burger a batter early than a batter late. And if he gives up a ball in the gap and then Story comes up and gets a hit, the game's blown up on the kid. I say kid, he's a rookie, he's 25. But, like, you get my point. Like, I would rather them go to the bullpen here, get him out before things, go awry, at least theoretically, and then, give, a clean inning to the next guy. And Zerpa did not execute at all. It was a bad inning from him. And I understand, again, people have their opinions about him, whatever. That's your prerogative. But and it's easy to go, well, the manager's an idiot for bringing him in. When Zerpa, yes, I'm sure he told Angel Zerpa to throw a slider right down the middle to Wilyer Abreu. And Wilyer Abreu is not a good hitter against lefty-lefty, but yeah, you can hit a slider that stays up right down the middle. He gets a hit, and then it's mound visit, and then it's Trevor Story, who's been a lefty killer his entire career, but because of the 3-batter minimum, he's got to stay in. You're really hoping Zerpa could just get that out, get a clean inning. And he threw a pretty good pitch to Story, but it's fastball in. You got a dead pull hitter and 2-run score. And that's the game right there. And that was ultimately it. It was at that point, it's 3-1. And you wonder what they have in them. Now, to the Royals' credit, Michael walks in the top of the 7th. And Grichuk doubles, and at that point, it's 3-2. You're right back in it. Crochet was awesome tonight. Early on, it looked like, oh man, like this guy might throw a no-hitter, and that was not a negative view of the Royals lineup. It was more of, you just watch the guy's stuff, and you're like, I don't care what lineup you're throwing out there in Major League Baseball. Not many people are hitting him tonight. 98, 99, had the sweeper work, had everything work. The fact they were able to scratch a couple across against him was impressive. And the fact that Berger was able to match him for the most part tonight, I feel like, okay, like there's something there for him. 7th inning is where things go sideways. And it all was with 2 outs. And that was, I think, the frustrating part tonight. If you had one knock on Berger, the run came with 2 outs and 2 strikes. The first run he gave up, and with 2 outs, you had a 2-out walk. It doesn't help. Like, that's where you have to find a way to get out of the inning. And Josh Schreiber gets 2 quick outs. Gets a fly out of Abraham Toro, and Romy Gonzalez grounds out. Okay, 2 outs, 9-hole hitter David Hamilton coming up. Get out of the inning, and then you can go to one of Ursig or Harvey in the 8th, and you still give yourself a chance in a 1-run game. And David Hamilton has a sub 500 OPS. He's not a good hitter. He's not a good player right now. And you walk it to get to the top of the order. And I thought that was just, that's as unacceptable of a walk as it gets. And for the most part, the pitches in that at-bat were not real competitive. He was not around the zone very much in that at-bat at all. And then Jaron Duran singles, and then he walks Bregman, bases loaded. Wilyer Abreu comes up, hits a fly ball, and 2-run score. It's 5-2. Trevor Story comes up again in a big spot, and it's all with 2 outs. That is the part that's frustrating, not the fact that it happened. Batted ball, whatever. But with 2 outs to walk the 9-hole hitter is flatly unacceptable, and I don't care who you are. I don't care what reliever it is. I don't care what pitcher you are. I don't care who you pitch for. You don't walk the 9-hole 2 outs with the top of the order coming up with a chance to do damage in a 1-run game. Like, that's where you lost right there. You can look back to that at bat, and that it's, and Shriver's done enough this year where you're like, okay, 7th inning of a 1-run game. I don't love it, but I feel like maybe he's going to be able to get out of this and be fine. But ultimately, it goes sideways on him, and it's all, it all traces back to that walk and then nothing doing the rest of the game. Frustrating one tonight. Felt like it was preventable, but your guys have to execute. That's the biggest thing. I thought Berger pitched really well. He deserved a better fate. And I know Zerba needs to execute. They're going to have to rely on him in some of these lefty. There's no other real lefty pitcher that they trust in big spots. Like Sam Long is a mop-up guy. Daniel Lynch, they wanted to trust him, but he walks way too many guys and doesn't have enough swing and miss where I don't know if you can trust him in those spots either. They might have to because I don't know what Zerpa is going to bring day in, day out. It's kind of a coin flip whether he's going to be lights out and get out of the inning with no problem or he's going to give up 4 hits and 2 runs. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get most of the time. And I want some level of predictability out of my bullpen. And he doesn't provide that. So it's a tricky spot for Kansas City because you need a lefty. And I don't know if they have a lefty on the roster right now that would be able to handle it. And I don't want to hear anything about Evan Sisk. I don't. I don't think it would matter. I don't think Evan Sisk is the answer either. So let's see what they end up doing. Big game now. It's about as close to a must-win tomorrow as it gets. You can't ruin all of the momentum that you built up with that Blue Jay between the deadline and that Blue Jays series. For tomorrow night, you got Michael Walker against Dustin May. Dustin May can be had. It's exploding stuff. It's pretty nasty, but that dude, I've watched him get lit up a bunch this year. See what they come to the ballpark ready to do tomorrow. Walker's going to give you 5 or 6 and maybe give up a couple, and he's going to keep you in the game. What can the offense do to respond? And then Harvey, Ursig, Estevez are all ready to go because of the way the last 2 games have gone. They haven't been needed. So they're on full rest. They're ready to go. Let Walker get you through 6, scratch a couple across against Dustin May, go win a game. And that's what they're going to have to do. It's go time now. There's no messing around. You got an off day coming up before you head and play Minnesota. Got to take advantage of a game like this tomorrow with one of your steadiest starters on the mound, ready to go. 20 minutes is about as good as I'm going to get with the way that I can ramble. So I appreciate everybody hanging out, listening on Wednesday, and then we will talk on Thursday after this game, and we will preview the Minnesota series and go from there. Toast game to Ryan Berger for a solid Royals debut. This is not a clear liquor. I don't feel like drinking tonight. So a toast game with a mason jar full of water to Ryan Berger for a solid Royals debut. We will talk on Thursday, 8:30, live on YouTube. If you're an audio listener, if you've never come over, come hang out. It's a good time. The chat's always going. People are always talking, being a part of the conversation, so come be a part of it. And we'll talk soon. Take care, everybody.